My first encounter with Jamel Shabazz was seeing Back in the Day when it first came out, and I stared at this cover and I was like, I am in the presence of a new artist making a new art form. A kind of street photography that we really haven't seen before. It's an art photography. I remember hip-hop crews in the 70s and 80s posing just like he poses them in his photographs. When I saw Jamel's work, I thought I really would like to work with him and make a film with him. Traditionally, street photography is about capturing with the viewer not being aware of it. With Jamel, he builds with his subject, and then he takes the picture as a kind of memory. Those people are iconicized by the way that they're posed and the way that he elicits a kind of emotional response to his camera, something that's going to stand the test of time. As soon as you interview someone, it's like, okay, we're interviewing. We're not there. If you want to get me excited, show me something. Now, of course, I'm showing Jamel Shabazz, and that is a documentary, and it's full of interviews. A lot of it was shot spontaneously, where I used Jamel's books as a way to just let people kind of go crazy and say things. But it is a documentary. One of my favorite scenes is Dave Chino waxing eloquently about all these unknown graffiti writers and, like, you know, the X-Men from Brooklyn. I'm sorry, who? No diss to you guys, but still, the loving depth and articulation that he put into this shows you that he's totally an insane graffiti-obsessed individual.
I was working at the Source magazine when I first came across Jamel Shabazz's work. The then art director, Janine Outlaw, called me into the office one day and she was like, hey, listen, I got something to show you. This guy's portfolio is amazing. And then she starts flipping through the photos. I'm like, holy shit, I know this guy and I know that location. And this is in Brooklyn, and this is in Fort Greene, and this is in Red Hook, and this is in Bed-Stuy. She's like, how do you know this stuff? And I was like, our orbits must have been very similar. Being from Brooklyn and being young and being an aspiring graffiti writer, I kind of ventured out my neighborhood routinely, and these were some of the colorful faces I saw in my journey, in my day-to-day. There's a gentleman by the name of Loke who's in one of the photos, and I remember sitting behind him, waiting for him to get done with Pac-Man so I could put my quarter up so none of the older guys would take my quarter. If you go to some of the areas that he was shooting at, they weren't the most user-friendly areas of Brooklyn, and it was a very dangerous time in Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn was notorious for being the home of stick-up kids. You know, these guys weren't all bad people, but Brooklyn was full of opportunists. Your mom might have sent you to the corner store to get some milk, and you saw an opportunity you just couldn't pass up on from here to the store. So I'm amazed that Jamel was able to navigate and negotiate his way through some of these dangerous areas and document some of these people that by all accounts were untouchable or unapproachable back then. I don't know many people that have a collection of this stuff other than Jamel, and it's quite an amazing collection of photos. It's very rare that when you talk about your past, that you've got something that you can reference from your past. When I first went through the book with Charlie, I started pointing out these locations, and I was like, this is a dime savings bank. And this is Derek. He was a stick-up kid that grew up on the corner of my block. And Jamel's kind of chronicled that 11, 12, and 13-year-old world that I lived in growing up in Fort Greene. So I'm grateful that these photos exist. And I know that everyone loves the way they look. But again, like, I was in the arcade behind these guys playing video games. I spent hours in rooms with some of these people. I watched some of these guys, these older guys, hang out on the corner getting drunk when I was a kid and starting trouble as a kid. So I've got a ton of memories, and I can go through his book on any given day and just start picking locations or picking an image, and it just brings back all of these amazing memories of growing up here in New York.